The Incredible Hulk's biggest feat of strength. Number 19. Throwing Fin Fang Foom to the moon. Fin Fang Foom isn't a dragon per se, but actually a shapeshifting alien pretty much always seen in his dragon form, and the 2008 one-shot Hulk vs. Fin Fang Foom one pitted him against an enraged Banner. Not even at a 6 on the anger scale, and with one hand no less, Hulk launched Foom to temporary doom on the far-away moon I'll stop now, all of kilometers away. According to his Marvel biography, Fin Fang Foom weighs 20 tons in his dragon form, so how his impact didn't have any lasting damage on Earth's tidal activity is anyone's guess, but we're grateful all the same. Now, Hulk has undoubtedly lifted far heavier things, but it's also the ease with which he flings Foom that have to be taken into account. After all, 20 tons is equal to the weight of 3 T-Rexes, 12 cars, or 40 grizzly bears. Seriously, we checked. This is the equivalent of a normal human swatting an overzealous bull into a neighboring field or lifting a car above one's head to see if they dropped their keys under it. Number 18. The time he killed the Thing. The Thing has been a long-time rival to the Hulk as well as a friend and teammate on occasion, and arguably their most famous disagreement brought about the former's death in Fantastic Four-112. Or so we were led to believe, at least, as after catching Benjamin Grimm off guard and seemingly knocking the life out of the poor fella, Reed Richards was able to sense a heartbeat and eventually revive the Thing. To put this achievement into context, we also have to grasp how strong and downright resistant the Thing really is. As if it wasn't enough to credit Grimm with several dozen one-on-one run-ins against the Hulk, Thing has frequently thrown down with the likes of Crusher, Creel the Absorbing Man, Thundra, and Tricos Laterus, who was then the champion of the universe. Not only that, but Grimm has only ever bled on several occasions in Marvel pages, one instance of which required Thor, God of Thunder, to hurl Am Jir through the chest of a demonically possessed Thing. The Walking Man Mountain is a force to be reckoned, and often in the argument for Earth's strongest hero himself. But a certain and near death in 1971 showed Hulk wins that race for certain. 17. Shrugs Superman into space. Marvel and DC crossovers are relatively few and far between, but there's a certain irresistible appeal about the chance to directly compare heroes from two competing studios in a strength battle. Now, Victor and telling of each story can change depending upon which publisher garners what rights for which crossover, meaning we've seen instances of the Hulk overcoming Superman as well as vice versa. Marvel ended the last millennium with a bang, as it was in July 1999 that they released another one-shot, The Incredible Hulk vs. Superman-1, in which they struggled to find an outright superior, although there are significant moments indicating off-the-chart strength. Chief among those is Hulk's ability to hoist Superman into orbit, just because the Man of Steel dared to bind his arms around Banner in an attempt to calm him. Before Suits can even think the words wow. He's not only big, he's fast, he's in space against his will. Hauling Superman isn't like throwing a normal human. He originates from Krypton, which is said to have been times the size of Earth, meaning his physiology and reactions against gravity are far different. Furthermore, he could correct his flight path instead of making the KM trip to mid-orbit. Were it not for the fact he's up there before he can even think a response. 16. Held up a star's weight. Thanos is one of the greatest threats the Marvel Universe has ever known. With his relentless hunger to extinguish life, all in the name of appeasing Lady Death, there are no limits to Thanos' ambition and what he's willing to do. For years, Thanos has quested after Earth, if only because of the symbolic value it holds, as the world's champions are the only beings to effectively defeat him time and again. During the event Infinity, the Avengers are forced to go into space to battle the intergalactic threat of the Builders, an ancient race of aliens who are penchant to going about and destroying worlds, only to remake them in their image. They take their quest on a universal scale, forcing heroes and villains from all across the cosmos to unite. Meanwhile, Thanos has decided to take advantage of the confusion. With the Avengers having left Earth, the world is reasonably unprotected. Thanos seems about to get started with taking over the planet when the Avengers get back just in time to do battle with the Mad Titan and his henchmen, Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive. At one point, Proxima Midnight hits the Hulk with her spear, a weapon that channels the weight of a star. The Hulk doesn't crumble under the weight, but rather holds it up while on his knees. For clarification, your average star's weight ranges anywhere from octillions to decillions of tons. Number 15. Cracked Onslaughts apart. Onslaught was for some time in the 90s a bane on the Marvel Universe and still ranks as one of the biggest threats its heroes have faced. So one can imagine the delirium that echoed among fans when it was Hulk who brought about its demise in 1996. From a psionic mismatch of the world's most powerful telepath, Charles Xavier, and sometimes diabolical friend Magneto, Onslaught was born an Omega-level being of terrifying mental power encased in seemingly impervious armor. With Marvel's biggest and brightest bested by Onslaught, Jean Grey covered the Hulk's tether to Banner, the one with any semblance of control over the Green Machine, and his dark side was allowed to run amok. Hulk eventually cracked Onslaught's armor, and the fallout of the resulting psionic wave was so vast that it split Hulk and Banner into two separate people. The fact that just about every other heavy hitter among Marvel's hero elite tried and failed the same thing, this is just another example of Hulk directly proving his strength advantage over said peers, including the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and Doctor Doom. Number 14. Wielding and Lifting. Lifting Am Jir is like when you see a friend get up early the morning after a night out to go to the gym. It's one of the most impressive things you've ever seen, but also boring and makes you think, well, anyone could do that. And that's because anyone can lift Am Jir as long as they're deemed worthy, an enchantment placed upon the hammer by Thor's father, Odin, to prevent such a powerful item from slipping into the wrong hands. Speaking of wrong hands, the Hulk has proved himself worthy enough, albeit only temporarily, to wield the Thunder God's flying mallet on several occasions and is one of only a handful of iconic characters to do so. That instantly puts him up there with elite worthies like Captain America, Superman, and Wonder Woman, each of whom have lifted Am Jir in one DC crossover or another. The two instances that come to mind occurred in 2010's Hulk Let the Battle Begin number 1 and 2012's Avengers Assemble number 4, and in both acts Hulk uses the hammer, still partly in Thor's grip, to either bludgeon him with his own weapon or send him 6 feet into the ground. Aside from Banner, Red Hulk has also been seen swinging Am Jir by its luscious leather handle, although that wily display of God-level power was achieved through zero gravity and so doesn't count. Number 13. Destroyed the Amulet of Sidorak. When it comes to raw magic, there are few entities more fearsome than the Nightmare Sidorak. A ridiculously powerful god, Sidorak is known for using the Juggernaut as his avatar on Earth via the Amulet of Sidorak. Many moons ago, Sidorak participated in the Octessence, a wager made between 8 interdimensional beings that wanted to find out who is the most powerful. They decided to provide a fraction of their power to 8 human avatars to fight in their honor. Sidorak cheated, stuff happened, and Cain Marco became the Juggernaut, one of Earth's strongest villains. The Juggernaut's power is still only a fraction of Sidorak's might. Able to access Sidorak's powers with the amulet, the gem is as durable, if not more so, than the Juggernaut. In Marvel Adventures Hulk number 10, Bruce Banner is on an archaeological dig and makes the mistake of asking Cain for directions. Cain agrees, betrays Bruce, and then acquires the amulet of Sidorak and becomes the Juggernaut once again. The Juggernaut then traps Bruce under some debris, while Rick Jones tries to escape with the amulet. Rick evades the Juggernaut long enough for Bruce to transform into the Hulk. From there, the two battle, but the Juggernaut gets the upper hand until Rick uses the amulet to cast a spell wherein the Juggernaut is trapped by the Crimson Bands of Sidorak. The Hulk, having recovered, proceeds to smash the amulet and then defeats Juggernaut. Number 12. Lifted part of Las Vegas. The Hulk has plenty of ridiculously powerful villains, a couple of them being Wendigo and By Beast. In Incredible Hulk's number 631, the Hulk, who is currently harnessing his world breaker power, is hanging out in Las Vegas when chaos ensues. Thanks to villain Tyrannus and the Adada M, Scientist Supreme moniker Rappaccini misusing the Fountain of Youth, some indecent wishes are made, which resulted in a bunch of the Hulk's enemies not only returning, but receiving a power boost as well. Typically, Wendigo or the By Beast are dangerous enough, but when they become the size of literal buildings, their power is amplified like never before. To make matters worse, a chunk of Las Vegas is turned into a flying city. Don't ask questions, just roll with it. And throughout the fight enough damage is caused that the majority of the flying Las Vegas is threatening to crash down into what's left of the town miles below, along with its inhabitants. The Hulk jumps off the floating city, lands on the ground, and then jumps right back into it, preventing the massive chunk of rock from slamming down at a disastrous angle. Not a single person is harmed, and the Hulk receives a monstrous applause from all the citizens present, something he's rarely had the chance to experience. Number 11. Obliterated an asteroid twice the size of Earth with one punch. The only entry on our list performed by Banner's Grey Hulk persona could also easily be by some distance the coolest, as it involves the feat all men aspire to, punching an asteroid so hard it breaks. And what an asteroid it was that appeared in Marvel Comics Presents number 52 1990, estimated to be twice the size of Earth and knocked onto a collision course with the planet by some aliens playing nearby. Hit with aid from a pair of experimental anti-magnetic, jet-propelled, fortified rocket springs, INCHPAs for short, Hulk punched that asteroid right in its space face, exploding it into a million smaller pieces the writers are sure had no other consequences for nearby star systems. What's even more impressive is that Hulk accomplished this while in his grave form, largely seen as his weakest version, and didn't appear to be all that angry at the time, the slacker. It's worth taking into account that some of the strength feats witnessed in the older generations of comics can at times seem too fantastical, even for Marvel. But hey, we work with what we were given. Number 10. Balancing 150 billion tons of a mountain range. Speaking of fantastical feats, did you hear about that time the Hulk kept a mountain suspended over his friends? The original Secret Wars 1984 gathered many of Earth's mightiest together, and issue 4 saw Molecule Man drop an entire mountain on top of them, were it not for the magnificent mitts of the Hulk, who caught the 150 billion ton mass before Reed Richards could be revived and get the team to safety. So why does this, the feat of balancing 150 billion tons of rock in a relatively small patch of Earth, rank above Hulk's ability to annihilate a space-ring asteroid 2 times the size of the planet? Bearing in mind that Hulk's skin is almost impenetrable, the idea of striking one admittedly very intimidating target with a single blow in an effort to destroy it is more appealing than the thought of holding something that's also incredibly heavy in one place. One is aimed at breaking things, and the other is aimed at preserving, so it's easy to see why the former comes more easily to the Hulk. The moment was retold in 2015's Secret Wars arc in tribute to the original showcase of super strength. Number 9. Withstood a 100 trillion ton punch. Scar is the son of Bruce Banner and the Shadow Queen Kara. With a hulked-out appearance mirroring his father's likeness, he has both the Hulk's powers, along with the abilities granted to him by the old power. Given to him by his mother's side of the family, the old power allows Scar to literally move continents and forge the Earth itself into weapons. If that weren't enough, Scar can summon magma and turn it into energy projectiles, siphon off a planet's power, and focus the energy into his fists, which he can then unleash with devastating effect. To put his power in perspective, every punch Scar throws is the equivalent of hitting someone with a planet. Scar and Hulk share a rather dysfunctional father-son relationship, especially since Hulk left Scar on Sakaar and had no knowledge of his son's birth. This resulted in Scar coming to Earth, blaming Dad for the destruction of his home world, along with a series of abandonment issues. Following up right after the event World War Hulks, Hulk and Scar have a father-son chat, Hulk style. They fight and it's enough to rock the planet. At one point, Scar uses his power to move the tectonic plates, taps into the tremors, absorbs the energy to command the kinetic power of 100 trillion tons, and then hits the Hulk square in the chest with it. Hulk gets sent flying to another state, but then gets up, unfazed, like nothing ever happened. Number 8. Holding a planet together. What could possibly be more impressive than blowing a rock the size of a planet apart, we hear you ask. Unity trumps division every time, and so the answer is of course holding one together. The Hulk developed a real love for Sakaar, the barbarian-esque battleworld where he would grow to find love and family despite being jettisoned there by the Illuminati, a collection of Earth's smartest minds. In fact, the Hulk loved it so much that when the Red King sensed he was going to lose and triggered a doomsday device built to tear the planet apart by its tectonic plates, he readily leapt into the lava-filled depths of its core to quite literally keep everything together single-handedly. We have very little by means of reference as to Sakar's exact size, but let's be honest, even if it was Pluto the Hulk was keeping from tearing apart by its very physics, you could color me impressed. Today the World Breaker unbreaks his world. Number 7. Almost destroying the United States with a step. After the events of World War Hulk 2007, the saying bull in a china shop should be redesigned to read Hulk on an Earth. You just can't take the guy anywhere. In what is considered by many to be the strongest Hulk has ever been, his Worldbreaker self, hell-bent on exacting revenge upon those he considered responsible for his torment on Sakar, almost broke the third largest continent on the planet with a step. One step! Hulk encounters Reed Richards and other targets of his hatred in Manhattan and proceeds to make Wolverine's berserker rage look like a kitten trying to fight its way out of a crisp packet. His stomp starts to break apart New York, after which we hear 2 more footsteps like that and we lose the eastern seaboard. We're talking about 14 states boasting a population of around 115 million people, more than a third of the United States' entire population, the last Google told us. With a step or 3, what boosts this particular feat even further is Hulk later on, in the heart of the monster, informs Doctor Strange he was holding back throughout those meetings, which was in some ways really nice of him. Number 6. Shook the multiverse with his blows. Marvel's supervillain team, the UFOs, first appeared in The Incredible Hulk number 254. The leader of the team, Simon Utrecht, originally wanted to recreate the historic flight of the Fantastic Four. He assembles 3 other colleagues and together they take a rocket ship to fly off into the great beyond. Bruce Banner saw their flight from a control room and tried to alter their course, noticing they were headed into a cosmic storm. Yet his attempts are too little too late as the entire crew is bombarded with cosmic radiation and they all transform into beings of nearly limitless power. Still, they blame Bruce Banner for robbing them of what they assumed would be even greater power. Out of the group, the strongman as it were, was ironclad. With Hulk-level strength, he also came with the ability to change his density at will, further increasing the levels of his already astonishing strength. In The Incredible Hulk number 304, the Hulk, having been banished to another dimension by Doctor Strange, runs into the UFOs who are also in the same dimension. With nothing but hatred for the Hulk, the group attacks, with Ironclad the first to jump in. Hulk meets his attack with a ramming of his own. The combined force of their blows shakes the entire multiverse. If you're looking for Incredible Hulk feats, this is one issue where the achievements pile on. Number 5. Defeated Armageddon. In Incredible Hulk's number 632, the Hulk, still at top form, has already faced down powered-up versions of the Wendigo and Bi-Beast. Additionally, he has also had to deal with a wishing well, thanks to Tyrannus. In short, the Hulk has his hands full and things don't get any easier when one of his greatest foes, Armageddon, warlord of the Trojan Empire, takes advantage of the chaos and makes his move, taking She-Hulk and Rick Jones hostage and poisons them. From there, he nearly kills the duo and throws them off a floating aircraft high in the sky. Enraged beyond belief, Hulk unleashes the full extent of his Worldbreaker power and prepares to do battle. It deserves mentioning that Armageddon isn't like most of the Hulk's other foes. His powers are cosmic in nature. He's so mighty that he's even defeated the likes of the Silver Surfer, who has beaten the Hulk without throwing a single blow. That doesn't stop the Hulk as he rushes to fight the evildoer. Armageddon hits the Hulk with his most powerful energy blast, but it doesn't even slow the Hulk down. Giving Armageddon a savage and bloody pounding, the Hulk nearly loses all semblance of control and gets this close to straight up murdering the cosmic baddie. Number 4. Prevented an earthquake. The Hulk is a monstrous engine of destruction. Oftentimes you'll see heroes and villains alike equate the Hulk and his fury to a force of nature that cannot be stopped, rather than a lone individual. So what happens if the Hulk ever had to face an actual force of nature like an earthquake? In the Planet Hulk saga, the Hulk keeps a planet from being ripped apart, but that wasn't the first time he's performed such a feat. In The Incredible Hulk number 202, our titular hero falls through time and space and ends up on an alien world. Yet it turns out Hulk knows where he is, having been there before, but is greeted by a pair of gigantic pig dogs the size of dinosaurs. The Hulk dispatches them with relative ease by throwing them beyond the horizon. Continuing on his journey, the Hulk comes across his former love Jirala about to literally get catapulted out of a primitive contraption. The Hulk saves her and fends off her attackers by hitting the Earth so hard that an earthquake starts. Unlike in Planet Hulk, where the green Goliath had to act after the planet had torn apart, this time the Hulk grabs the tectonic plates before any cataclysmic damage can follow and pulls them back in place. Number 3. Smashing Am Jir. Am Jir may be a hallowed weapon forged by Odin, former king of Asgard, crafted from the mystical metal Uru and bequeathed to Thor, god of thunder and haircare, but nobody said it was indestructible. Even in the Maku, the Odinson is currently Sans hammer after we saw it crushed in Thor Ragnarok by Hela, and Norse goddess with power rivaling any other Asgardian, and one suspect you might suspect is capable of such a feat. But Hulk is another sort of. The Avengers were called upon to stop a rampaging Banner in Hulk number 227, released back in September 1978, which eventually sets him on a collision course with Thor. And like a Terry's chocolate orange, Hulk proceeds to smash Am Jir with one hand, but there's a kicker. For it was all a dream, you see, and Hulk was just weaving a careful narrative in which he warred against his teammates before smashing one of his best mate's favorite toy. Quite worrying, really. Number 2. Held up a Celestial. First appearing in Thor number 387, Exitor the Exterminator, much as his name implies, is not the sort of fellow known for holding house parties. If anything, he'll be the one to destroy said house, its occupants, and the world it was constructed on. A member of the Celestial race, group of planet-sized aliens known for destroying worlds with the flick of a finger, Exitor was summoned by Erisham the Judge to purify galaxies by way of blasting planets to pieces. One of the most powerful Celestials to ever exist, there are few sentient beings as mighty as Exitor. When the children of Archangel used Thor's axe Jarnmorn to slay a Celestial Gardener and Kang the Conqueror was being a troublemaker, a series of shenanigans and misunderstandings ensued, as one might expect. Because of all this, Exitor heads to Earth in order to destroy the planet. All of Earth's heroes assemble to try and find a way to prevent Exitor from delivering his destruction. As it turns out, the Celestial wouldn't have to do much, as his foot is large enough to smash the world. With every intention of stomping on Earth, Dr. Doom builds a machine that can emit a protective barrier around the planet. However, he needs something, or someone, to power it. And so, the Hulk ends up providing enough force to keep a planet-sized entity from stepping on the world, and this was with no external stimuli to make him angry. Number 1. His clap tears the fabric of existence. The Hulk clap is a staple of his repertoire, a signature move of the bussing behemoth that's been a constant through the years and never changed its style of simple destruction. Whether he's looking to dish out damage or just silence a room, the Hulk clap is an attack for every occasion, and all it requires is a pair of hands. Hulk hands! Massive, green Hulk hands! The Hulk clap is so effective that it can even rip the seams of reality when used correctly and with the right motivation, as Banner did in Hulk number 126, when he destroys a universe ruled over by the villainous Nightcrawler. Not that one. Reverting his sonic attack from his foe by high-fiving himself, Hulk's clap busts apart an entire dimension and returns him to safety. Bearing in mind this was 1970, we're in the silver age of comics, and it's just a really fun time all around in terms of creative allowance. Note, Hulk has punched through time/reality on a few occasions. Hulk truly is the strongest one. There is asteroids, god hammers, destroying the fabric of existence, punching time, holding up mountain ranges, alien dragons and all.